The modern-day kings of the court.
He tried to put LeBron in a popcorn machine, blocked by James. Trailer, LeBron finishes with the dunk.
Oh, my goodness.
Curry spins. Step back, trying to draw another foul, and it goes in. Oh, Steph Curry.
Stand on the shoulders of yesterday's trailblazers.
What were those times like?
Well, when he came up, there weren't any opportunities. It was the Globetrotters because you couldn't play in the league.
What you're about to experience is a full-court press of the pioneers of basketball, wrapped in a love story.
We were loving all day long. We held hands while we slept. I've done a mold of his hand. He was a very special man. He had great integrity. And they just don't come like it. They broke the mold. And I was fortunate, God blessed me, to have him in my life.
Her love, basketball pioneer Carl Green, and the tribute he just received brought out the legends of the game in Blackland.
And now,
as a brown person, you just feel so invisible.
Where we're from.
Brothers and sisters, I welcome you to this joyful day.
We celebrate freedom.
Where we are.
Get on the ground.
I know someone heard something.
And where we're going.
We the people means all the people.
The Black Information Network presents Blackland with your host, Vanessa Tyler.
Here is Monroe. Off balance, still scores.
There was a time back in the 1970s when the crowd would go wild over the moves of Earl the Pearl Monroe. On this day in his hometown of Harlem, New York, he was not under the unusually warm fall day to talk about himself. This Hall of Famer was here to honor his friend, Carl Green, a former member of the Harlem Globetrotters.
Carl's been a good person for a long, long time, and he went to my alma mater, Winston-Salem, for a while, and we kind of like clutched on to each other for early on, and we've been very good friends. You think of us as pioneers, and pioneers weren't the ones who really reaped the benefits of what it all got to be. So here we are now, and guys are reaping the benefits, and it's just one of those things.
Pioneers did put in the work, endured the disrespect and the blatant racism.
What were those times like?
Well, when he came up, there weren't any opportunities. It was the Globetrotters because you couldn't play in the league. They didn't have blacks in the league. So his whole basketball career was built around the Globetrotters in the Eastern League. They didn't allow black guys to play in the league. It was a tough situation, but he weathered it and came through to where he is today.
That's Tom Hoover, former center for teams like the New York Knicks, Los Angeles Lakers, and more in the 1960s. He also graced the court for teams in the American Basketball Association like Denver Rockets, Houston Mavericks. We heard from him at the top. Carl Green was also his friend.
And what does his legacy mean for the ballers today?
Well, if they know the history, it helps. But the problem is they don't really understand the history. Because when you're making $25, $30 million a year, you don't care anything about anybody else except myself. And as you see in this world today, every kid is on the phone. So what do they know? They don't even read.
You get the sense of a little bit of a broken heart as I talk to these giants of black men about the past, the present, the future.
Does it hurt? It's life, because man is indifferent to his own self.
I'm not a happy camper today because it's a sad day that we're missing a man, Carl Green, Floyd Lane, Hilton White, too many guys that mentored us, and people always say too many guys that mentored us, that are not here anymore. Who's taking up the slack? Where are our black leaders at now? Because they led us, They mentored us, they advised us, and they gave us strength. They gave us encouragement. They gave us confidence, We had loyalty. Even though Carl is from Harlem, he was a trotter. And his message was, and I hear this from other Globetrotters now, they said Carl Green was serious about his game.
That's Nate Tiny Archibald, and if you don't know, you need to ask somebody. In 1996, he was considered one of the 50 greatest players in NBA history.
He didn't play with the Globetrotters that do the entertainment. He played with the Globetrotters that wanted to beat you behind and win games and stuff like that. So he was always serious about his demeanor, serious about building confidence and loyalty to anybody where he went, okay? Very soft-spoken, didn't say a whole lot, but when he did, you listened.
See, there was something different about Carl. He was a part of the team that didn't do much of the antics the Globetrotters are known for. He could do them. His approach was different, says his wife, Judith Green.
But Carl was the baller, and that's who he was. He could do some tricks now, but he was a baller, and I to hear them referred to as clowns, because honestly, the NBA exists because of them. In the beginning, the Globetrotters were the first on the billing, and after the crowd would see the Globetrotters, they would leave. So they had to switch it so that the Globetrotters would come at the end, and the NBA players paid, before them. That was the only way they could get the crowd to stay. And also, at that time, there was a quota system. And so the best ball players played for the Harlem Globetrotters.
Carl Green died last year at the age of 89, and on this sunny day, those who knew and loved him gathered in Harlem to honor him in one of the best ways they knew how.
On the count of three.
Slowly, okay.
No, hold on. 1, 2,
Hold
3. Come on, Carl.
A street renaming. Forevermore, the corner of 113th Street and St. Nicholas Avenue in Harlem is now Carl C. Green Way.
It wasn't easy, but this is helping with my grief. This is part of it. And this is what I worked on this whole year to help me get through it, because when they asked me how I would want to be honoring Carl, did I want to have a repast? And I was like, I don't want to do anything like that. I'd like to honor Carl in a way that he deserves to be honored. And this, I think, is deserving, and he'd be so proud today to know that he's right there in front of the building where he played ball.
The tribute in front of where the Harlem Globetrotter legend, New York City Hall of Famer, grew up is a lasting one.
And to hopefully uplift this neighborhood to know that a man who was labeled retarded, went to school and wasn't educated, graduated, went to college, and went to be with the Harlem Globetrotters. And I tell the Globetrotter organization that he graduated from Harlem Globetrotter University. He went around the world. It taught him everything they never taught him in school. And he was an ambassador of goodwill.
That ambassadorship took him around the world during the 1950s, places like Europe, even behind the Iron Curtain during World War II. Sure, they were playing basketball, but did so much more for America, an America that never returned the humanity.
Did he ever tell you about the early days, how tough it was for African-American athletes in those times?
Absolutely. He has a documentary that got an Emmy for how the Harlem Globetrotters battled racism. He shares in that documentary how hard it was. And, they couldn't stay in the hotels. They ate bologna sandwiches on the bus. They pulled the shades down in the restaurant if they were in there because they didn't want anybody to see, because they didn't know what would happen. So, yeah, it was rough.
But what was easy was her life with Carl Green. They met, where else but in Harlem.
Actually, I met him when I was 17 years old. I was friends with his sister, and a guy I was dating, we were in Jocks in Harlem, and he introduced me to Carl. And I remember thinking that day, as I shook his hand, this is the type of man I should be with, nice and calm. And many, many years later, I would have never thought, 50 years later, we would be married and spend the rest of those days with him, and he was very, very happy, and I was too. So we were together for 11 years. It wasn't long enough for me, but he was happy. I have video of him saying how happy he was. And we were very blessed, and we woke up grateful every day. It's unbelievable how grateful you can really be when you have somebody who really understands you and treats you with respect and love. And it was a love story. I would say to him sometimes, if something happened, is the honeymoon over? The honeymoon was never over. Wonderful man.
He was a widower, a father, grandfather, even great-grandfather. Decades later, they united until the end.
He was a man's man. He had, like I said, he had swag.
Everyone recognized his impeccable style. He was a tailor, working in New York's garment district in between the low wages earned with the Globetrotters.
He was a humble man, and he had integrity. So he didn't think he was too good to go to work. And he worked down there forever while he played basketball, while he played in the Eastern League, while he played with Harlem Globetrotters. But one thing about that, Carl segued that into other things. He segued that into tailoring. So they did the tailoring for Earl Monroe and Wilt Chamberlain. He had real estate in Harlem with Wilt Chamberlain, who also played with the Globetrotters. And then he also was in real estate. So he continued to reinvent himself, that retarded man who was the smartest man I ever knew.
Because he had done poorly in school, there was this concern there was something wrong, but he was a champion on the court and off.
For 55 years, he served as chairman of the board of Our Children's Foundation. And to the day he died, he was the chairman of the board. So this was a foundation that allowed the kids to come in every day. After school, there was no charge. They took them on trips all over to the colleges.
That's why the crowd came out to honor Carl Green. Darrell Walker was a New York area high school standout. He always heard about the lore of Carl Green.
What does it mean for you to see this honor for Carl?
It's overdue. He did a lot for the community. His wings spread. He touched a lot of individuals that have gone on to do great things, and it's just great that we could all come together and honor him and his family today.
Same thing for Charles Smith, a Hall of Famer and former Globetrotter, now chairman of the National Retired Players Association. His mission? Making sure we never forget.
We have to continue to celebrate and get their flowers, because a lot of times they went through things that we never went through.
But many of them now are much older gentlemen, and Mr. Monroe,
Yes.
on Walker. I mean, everybody.
Yes,
way up there.
They're way up there, and sometimes they're forgotten. Without their sacrifice, the guys are not making the money they make in a day. They don't have the opportunities they have today. Just think, he had to go through discrimination, had to go through a lot, and still play the game. They weren't getting paid as much money as people are getting paid today. It just shows the love of the game.
Smush Parker, who balled for the Detroit Pistons, LA Lakers, and Clippers, as well as the Miami Heat, agrees.
His legacy is here, not just in the life that he had, but the life that he touched. Everybody who's here now was touched by him and his legacy, and we are his legacy now. They set the foundation. They were the pioneers for guys like myself to come up behind them and stand on what they laid down, and I can build, and the future after me get built on top of what I was able to lay down.
Albert King, who transitioned from the game to owner of fast food franchises, may have left the game behind from his days with teams such as the Nets, the Philadelphia 76ers, San Antonio Spurs. Says he and his brother, Hall of Famer Bernard King, have nothing but respect for these guys.
Even myself and a lot of the younger players, I think we can't appreciate that, because they had a lot of struggles, as you were mentioning, in his era, as far as you couldn't even go to the bathroom with whites. You had to go to different restaurants and whatever else, staying in different hotels when he was growing up. So I think that's something that we don't appreciate, we don't understand, but I think that we're reaping the benefits. Even the younger players now, they're reaping the benefits of what the older players went through.
Sam Worthen, who played for the Bulls and coach of Washington Generals, says this is a day to celebrate them all.
This is great for Harlem, New York City in itself. It means so much because he was a very positive man and always pointed people in the right direction. It's just great. It's a great turnout and everything, and well-deserving.
Eric Jones, a former member of the Globetrotters, honors the past while keeping his eye on the ball for the future.
I think this means everything, right? Because when you go on and you have this body of work, you just hope that your legacy lives on and people continue on with that mission he had. And that's the responsibility of people like myself and the many people that you see out here.
Talk about your history, your legacy. What about you?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to have been playing professionally for 26 years for the Globetrotters and the Harlem Wizards. I'm in a position now where I'm the vice president and general manager of the Harlem Wizards. So now imparting that wisdom that I've gained to the younger players and being able to have them take the path less traveled and, being able to see them flourish and take the organization to a different level.
Carl just was a great man, and the fruit of your labor will always come back full circle. His integrity, his ability to want the best for other people, that's what we all should be striving for, and that man represented that.
So he's part of Harlem history, American history, African American history, and international history. The ancient Egyptians believed that you die twice. One time when your heart stops, and the second time when no one says your name. I'm making sure that Carl will live forever. Every time they look up at that sign, he will always remain alive.
I'm Vanessa Tyler. Join me next time on Blackland. I'd love to hear what you think at Vanessa Tyler 1 on Instagram. A new Blackland episode drops every Friday.